Welcome everyone, it's Patty from pspapercrafts, and I have another Friday fun fold for you. This is a peekaboo card. There's all kinds of ways to make it, but I made it with this little piece in here. You can just have the front open and not have this piece and just have it peekaboo to here. If you wanted to put something here, that's an alternative. But I thought I'd give it a little bit of a twist. I think this is cute and fun. So for this card, I used the what is it, the Poetic Expressions, is that the right name? Poetic Expression Designer Series paper. And I was looking for a paper that had two different colors so that I could have the card. This is Moody Mauve, and then when you have this piece, it's Bubble Bath. So I thought that was cute. So I didn't want to have just, I mean, this is blue and white, but I wanted to have a couple of different colors in the paper. And I love this paper. It is very pretty. So I made it with that, and then I have the You're in My Thoughts Today. And then what I did was I used the Thoughtful Expressions dies, and I used these dies. And you'll see how I do it. We're going to use different dies, but I wanted to show you it's the same idea, it's just a different shape. And you can do hearts, you can do whatever it is, but you do need layering or nesting, I should say. So you need two dies, one a little bit bigger than the other. So you'll see that I cut these out to get the frame. And then in here, I use the small one for the white and the larger one for the Moody Mauve. So these pieces are the the third and fourth from this die set. Okay, I miss our layering circles dies because it had the scalloped and the kind of just the plain circles, but they retired, and I try not to use retired products in case you want them. I want you to be able to purchase them. And then I added some Bubble Bath little dots. These are the rainbow dots. They're adhesive backed. So let's get started on today's card. We are going to use, I love this paper. I love our designer series papers. That's my favorite product. And this is the Masterfully made designer series paper. And it has in the back all the different colors that are in the paper, and that's what I love about Stampin' Up. So it has Azure Afternoon, so you know if you wanted to coordinate with the designer series paper, you can use the ink, the cardstock, if there's ribbon or gems or anything, you have a list of the colors and they match perfectly. So it's really cool. So I love this. I was back and forth on whether to use this piece or this piece, and this one won out. These are my favorite pieces in this whole package. So I am using this one. So I have some of it cut already. I don't have it all done, but I wanted you to see the process. So I'm using Night of Navy and Crushed Curry, and I think these are such good colors to go together. And I'm using this piece, and it has the Crushed Curry and the Night of Navy in it. And I also have a piece of white for the inside and a layering piece. So what we want to do to make this card is you want your standard card base. So this is 5.5 by 8.5, and we're going to go ahead and get our scoring tool. My trimmer is my scoring tool, and we are going to just score that at 4.5 or 4.25. So this is your standard A2 card that we use in the US, and they fit in our medium size envelopes. So this is what I usually make. Sometimes I'll make a slim line card, but I usually make the A2. So this is the basic card base. And then we have our Crushed Curry. And what I did was I cut my cardstock, my 8.5 by 11.5, as if I was making a standard A2 card, but I am going to cut it down because this is a little bit smaller. So this piece is the inside fold, and we wanted to have the border around like this. So it can't be the same size, right? So it's just a little bit smaller. So this piece will be 8 by 5.25. So let's cut it down to 5.25. And then, you know, this is 8.5. So you can either cut off a half, or you can open your arm to cut it to 8. So we'll cut it to 8, and then we'll do some scoring. So either way will work. Whether you don't have an arm and you don't feel like pulling it out, you could just cut off the half, or you can just go out to 8. So now we have this piece. Let's fold our arm in, and we want to score this one at 4 and 6. So we're going to move our cutting blade up, and we will score this at 4 inches and then 6 inches. And I will have all of the measurements in a project sheet that you can find below the video. There's a description paragraph, and then there's a bunch of links, and you can find it in the links. And if you're at my website, my blog, pspapercrafts.com, you can look below the video there. There's a button, and it says project sheet. So that's how you can get the instructions, the measurements. So don't worry about, you know, getting that all figured out right now. And then we're just gonna, I just fold it in, and then we're gonna fold it out and score it. I just like to fold it in first. Okay, so now we have this piece, and this is going to fit in here. All right, so the next thing we want to do is get our front layer. And I was going to do it like this, but I feel like it got lost on the dark card stock. So you get the right piece, I cut it down a little bit. So there's just a little pop of white. See the difference? So this is how it was, and now this is how I'm going to make it. So it's just a little bit. So this is really, what is it, 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and then this is 4 by 5 1/4. So again, I'll have all the measurements for you. So let's put this down. I'm going to use my liquid glue and just put this paper down. And you know, I see the other side, and I hate to cover it. I don't like to cover the sides, but you have to use it. I don't know if anybody follows Kylie Bertucci, but she's all about cutting your designer series paper. She's chop it and use it. I forget what her motto is. Chop it, something about chop it. And she's right. And for a long time, I never wanted to cut my designer series paper, but then you're missing out on so much. So then we're going to put this down. Then we're going to do some die cutting. And I'll show you how you get all the circles working. So we just want to make sure that this is got a border kind of equal all around. It's centered all around. Okay, pretty on its own, right? You don't even need to add much. So let's get rid of this. And I am going to, this is my inside layer. So we're going to put that aside and this aside, and we'll get our die cutting machine out. I use the Stampin' Up! Stamp and cut and emboss machine. It's quite a mouthful. And we are going to cut this. Now I wanted to use circles on this one, so I'm using the deckled circle dies, and there's like a million of them in here. I am going to use the 1, 2, 3, the 4th and the 5th one. And if you wanted a wider border, you could do 4 and 6. If you wanted this this rim to be a little bit wider, this pink, you could do a different size. So we are first going to just use the smaller one of the two, and we're going to cut through, right through this, through all 3 layers. I wasn't thinking I would have 3 layers. So you want to center your circle. You want it wherever you want it. I mean, you could put it in the middle. I wanted it toward the top. We want to center it left to right. And we're just going to put it like this. And do I have all my plates here? There we go. And I have my, you know, my base plate and my number 2 plate and my cutting plate. So let me just show you these. So in case you're not familiar, you've got your number 1, your base, and then your number 2. This is what you take out if you're doing embossing. And you take them all out if you're doing 3D embossing, and use the specialty plate. But then I have a cutting plate, and we just want to get it right where we want it. That looks about right. And we're just going to put the cutting plate on top, and we're going to run it through our machine. And I'm only going to go till I feel it and hear it go through the die. And I'm going to go back because I want to make sure it cuts through good, because again, we're doing 3 layers. Now the cardstock is a little thicker. The designer series paper isn't so thick, and the white is a little bit thinner. I'm going to do that again because it didn't go all the way through. See? So I haven't tried this with 3 layers. So hopefully we will get okay. I'm wondering if I should put it, let me do this. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take a piece of this to make sure it stays right in place. I'm going to flip it over. And I use 1 plate for cutting, and then I try to remember, sometimes I don't. I use that for my top plate. So since we're turning it upside down, and it's almost cut through, we are going to just run it through this way so it's cutting at the top. Sometimes I do this when I have a intricate die. I'll turn it upside down, and it just, I think there's the cushion is less or something. Let's see if this cut through. Yes. Okay. Phew. So here we have our hole in our card, right? And then we have this. And this piece, I don't know, I might add it to another card somewhere. So I'm going to hold on to that. You're going to have a couple of scraps that I think you can reuse when you're finished with this. So now we have that. Then we have to decide what color, if we want navy or the crushed curry. And I think, so on this one I did, you know, this is Moody Mauve, and then I have Bubble Bath here. So I think I want to do the same thing. So let's put this aside, and I am going to take a scrap of the crushed curry, and I am going to create a frame. And to create a frame, we are going to lay the 2 circles together, and you want them to be pretty even. I'm wondering if I should go up 1 more. Let's see how much bigger this one is. It seems very big to me. We're winging it. I think that might be too big. I'm going to go with the smaller one. We'll see how it is. Worst comes to worst, we can just do it again. And you know, the decal is all different, so I don't know if it's going to line up, if it's going to be okay or not. I haven't done this yet, so we're just going to run this through. And I'm doing my plates wrong. See, this is where I get in trouble. So I'm going to flip my plates around because I want my cutting plate on the bottom because I will be cutting down. So just bear with me. So on this one, everything was lined up perfectly. This one with that kind of rough deckled edge, it doesn't line up smoothly. So we'll see how it comes out. May or may not work. So here's another piece you can save. Maybe put a sentiment on it for some other card. And now we have this edge that we're going to put here. And again, you could put blue if you wanted, the native navy. Okay, and then we are going to do a white one for the sentiment. So this is the smaller of the 2 circles. And then we're going to do another big circle. So now we've got, so there's a lot of pieces here. All right, and then we're going to do the big circle on a piece of night of navy, and that'll be for the inside layer. And you will see what I'm talking about when I start putting it together. Okay, so we're done with our machine. Put that away. And now we have So now we have, let me put these away as well so I don't lose track of them. So now we have our pieces. So this piece is going here, and then this piece will get layered here and will go here and peek through here. All right, makes sense? So the first thing we'll do is glue this down. And I feel like on this one, let me get my silicone mat here. So I feel like on this one, there might be a right or wrong way to have it go. But we'll figure that out. See, it's a little bit odd shaped. So we're just going to put a little bit of glue, dab around it. And I'm just going to kind of push it in. It is a little bit, it's not exact circle. This is where I liked our layering circles, but I think it's good. Okay. And then let's do our sentiment. So I am using the sentiments. I wanted to make this a birthday card, and I like this happy birthday. So the beautiful balloons. We're going to use Night of Navy ink. You could use any of the colors in here. Happy birthday. I love the script on this one. And then on the inside, I think I'm going to put a strip of designer series paper on the bottom, but we're going to do the, let's, what is it? I think it's time for a celebration. And we'll just put this right up here. Love it. And now let's put our sentiment on this other piece. Right like this. Okay, and then this will go in here. And let me get a piece of this. We'll put this on the bottom. So we are going to cut this. This is a little smaller than normal, so it's going to be 3 1/4. So I'm going to cut it at 3/4. And this whole piece is 4 inches, I believe. I usually cut them down. When I cut a big piece, I'll cut it in like a size that I think I'll use, and then I cut it down from there so I have it. And then this will be, what did I say? 3 3/4. So that matches this. Okay. Let's put this down right on the inside layer. And then I'll show you, this is going to be the tricky part, getting this circle lined up. But it's doable. You just have to have a little patience. Okay, and I'm going to put this on. I like to use my stamp and seal on the inside layer. I just feel like it lays nicer with the stamp and seal. I love the liquid glue for getting things in the right position when you have to move them around, but I like the inside layer to have this stamp and seal. So now we have this. We're going to put this down. So let's put this down with the glue. And if you don't do the 3 layers on the front, you should be able to just go back and forth on your die cutting machine and not worry about all the extra steps I did. So we're going to close this up to make sure we have it nice and centered. Isn't that pretty? The crushed curry and the Night of Navy. I love that combination. It's a great combination for the fall. Okay, and now it seems like it's, there we go. So isn't that pretty? We got to put this in. So what we want to do is have this fit right in here, right? So we don't want to have glue over here. We only want to have glue on this side. So let's put a little bit of glue. You can pop it up. The only thing with popping it up, I've made these cards in the past, is sometimes they get stuck in that hole because it's a little tight and if it's not exactly perfect. So, and what I did here, this is a little, as I said, a little tricky because you want your happy birthday to be lined up. You want it to be, you know, in the right place. So now we're gonna lay it down. We're gonna just close it. And then we'll see if it's all perfect here. Fun, right? So now we've got our happy birthday. So let's put some bling on it. And let me get something. Okay, so I'm going to use some of these. These are berry burst. I could use the blue. I think the blue or blueberry bushel, which is in here as well. But I think I'll use the berry burst. And we'll just put them down. I'm wondering if I should just put them down here. One. And then the smaller one next to. You could put a ribbon on this, although it might get caught in this as you're opening it, but I think this works. Happy birthday. I think it's time for a celebration. So that's the one card. I think I like this this better, to be honest. I think I think the deckled is bothering me. So if you have a smooth circle, it might be better, or any shape, as long as it nests, I think will be okay. So here we go. This is the one card, and I like the different layers here, and then this is the other one. Okay, so thanks a lot for joining me. I'm working on next month's calendar, so you'll see some new fun folds next month with the calendar, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoy it, and you can subscribe to me as well. I appreciate it. See you next week. Thanks.